You are watching 10 at 10 Live, your nightly news headquarters, with Nathan Carroll, co-anchor Tiffany Opelt, bringing you tonight's weather, Bristol McPhee, to update you on sports, Nate Pettit, and with tonight's special feature, Diane Tran. Good evening and welcome to 10 at 10 Live. I'm Nathan Carroll.
And I'm Tiffany Opelt.
In our top story, the State Department warning that terrorists could strike at holiday gatherings abroad is cause for caution, but not panic. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright suggested that citizens traveling overseas stay in contact with American embassies and consulates.
Moving westward, scientists at UCLA would love to hear a noise, any noise, but so far nothing has been heard from their Mars polar lander. 4 years in the making, the lander was to begin its 3-month mission on the surface of the red planet 1 week ago. The researchers admit they will probably never hear from the lost spacecraft.
A man charged with bringing more than 30 ounces of the highly explosive oil nitroglycerin into the United States apparently was not planning to stay in the country very long.
Ahmed Rassam, age 32, was charged Friday with bringing the explosive oil into the United States from Canada, having false identification, and making false statements to U.S. Customs Service officials.
And the State Department has expelled a Russian diplomat from the United States. Accused of spying, officials say he was caught with a listening device. With diplomatic immunity, he cannot be charged with a crime, so he has been given 10 days to leave the country. Russian officials have called the incident absurd.
On the international scene, 2 U.S. policemen serving with the NATO-led peacekeeping mission in Kosovo were seriously injured while trying to break up a brawl between Serbs and ethnic Albanians. It is the second violent incident involving Americans in the province this week.
In Afghanistan, Taliban rulers vowed to protect Osama bin Laden following the arrest of several of his followers who are allegedly planning to carry out terrorist attacks on U.S. interests.
At least 14 alleged members of the group have been detained in Jordan in connection with possible attacks against U.S. targets in the Kingdom Millennium celebrations. Washington wants the Taliban to hand over bin Laden to the United States or to a third country to stand trial.
And moving on to Iowa news, the weather has finally caught up to our winter season. And here's Bristol with a weather update. Bristol?
The weather has been very unusual this year. Up until recently, we have been experiencing pleasant temperatures and clear skies. But Jack Frost has made his entrance, bringing several inches of snow with him, giving us that wintry feel that we've been anticipating. I'll give you more of the details later. Tiffany?
Thank you, Bristol. It sounds like Mother Nature is making up for lost time. However, the weather systems have not derailed our legal process. A Des Moines businessman accused of plotting to kill his mother and 3 brothers will go on trial this winter. 50-year-old Peter Hunter pled innocent yesterday to 16 charges, including conspiracy to commit murder. He remains in a Polk County jail on a cash-only bond of over $366,000 awaiting his trial, which is set for February 14th.
On Terrace Hill, Governor Vilsack has a plan to get people to move to or even stay in Iowa to ease the state's labor crunch. He has proposed income tax breaks to those in certain jobs important to Iowa's future. The governor plans on asking the legislature to approve targeted breaks, starting with teachers and engineers. Well, Tiffany, do you think that people would want to stay in Iowa if we could guarantee nice weather all year round?
Let's see what Bristol has to say. Bristol?
Today's temperature dipped to 10 degrees below zero, with frosty wind chill factor of 40 below. The skies were cloudy most of the day with an occasional glimpse of the sun. Light to moderate flurries dusted the ground throughout the day, with the wind coming out of the southwest at 23 miles per hour. New York had a high of 27 degrees. Los Angeles checked in with 55 degrees, and the Mile High City had 25 degrees. Due to a slow-moving jet stream, Colorado is starting to feel the frigid. Tomorrow they will be receiving a little bit of rain and certainly some snow. This will make the roads very icy, so be extremely careful if you're heading for the slopes. All eyes remain focused on southern Oklahoma and north central Texas. It looks like the southern plains could get another weekend of thunderstorms as the Colorado cold front is expected to remain stationary. Don't worry, these showers should cease by Monday, allowing the area to dry out over the week. Now look at the local forecast. Dubuque had a high of 4 degrees, Fort Dodge 7, Sioux City checked in with 19 degrees, and Council Bluffs had a mild 12 degrees. The 5-day weather forecast shows cloudy skies tomorrow with temperatures in the high 20s. But the clouds will open up on Tuesday, dropping temperatures into the mid-20s. There's a chance of light snow on Wednesday. Back to you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Bristol. The changes in the weather happen as quickly as changes in technology. Here's Diane with the third segment in our Millennial Review series.
As the last century of the millennium draws to a close, we can only begin to imagine what possibilities and ideas lie ahead. How time flies when you don't have to scrub clothes, lace up corsets, or wash diaper after diaper. Although I am too young to remember any of these things, soon it will be difficult to remember what it was like to live without television, microwaves, cellular telephones, or the internet. These inventions made a profound effect on the 20th century. In 1939, the television transformed our lifestyles with a huge cabinet and a tiny picture. Countless Americans had no idea that President Franklin D. Roosevelt used a wheelchair. Now, for better or worse, we see everything, from the explosion of the Challenger to the Rosie O'Donnell show. The microwave was born in 1955 by accident. An engineer at the Raytheon Company noticed a candy bar in his pocket melted when he passed by a microwave power tube. He grabbed a bag of popcorn and held it in front of the device and watched as the kernels popped almost instantly. And thus, it was discovered that microwaves can cook. Today, we are dependent on the microwave for defrosting, reheating, and popping popcorn. The first computer was built on the Iowa State University campus. In 1977, the personal computer weighed 30 tons. Today, that same power can be put on a postage stamp-sized silicone chip that could sit on a desk. Today, through the networking of the internet, you can link up with someone halfway around the world. Also popular were the wireless communication devices. Cellular telephones were introduced in the United States in 1983. Cell phone usage has risen to 80 million cellular telephones this year. These inventions are among some of the most influential creations of the century. When we look back, we won't be able to see how we could have possibly lived without them.
Thanks, Diane. We'll look forward to seeing tomorrow evening's segment on the Millennial Review. Well, there certainly have been a lot of changes in the past century. It's really hard to believe that we've gone from computers that weigh 30 tons to now they fit in the palm of your hand and pack a lot more power.
There have been a lot of changes, but one thing that remains the same is the excitement people of all ages get from the wide world of sports. Nate?
Moving right into last night's high-flying college games, number 1 Cincinnati rallied to hold off number 6 and previously unbeaten North Carolina, 73-67 at the United Center in Chicago. Kansas's deep bench passed Memphis 82-68, and the Kentucky Wildcats were stunned after a 63-62 loss in overtime against Louisville. Turning from the college hardwood to the NFL playoffs, the St. Louis Rams are still astounding the league. Former UNI and Arena football star Kurt Warner has stolen the show and quarterbacked the Rams to a divisional title. Highlights from this past weekend's scores include the Rams pouncing over the Atlanta Falcons 34-13, Kansas City embarrassing Pittsburgh 42-3, Carolina squeaking by 14-13 against the 49ers, and Miami rumbling over New England 24-10. Switching from the NFL action to the college football poll picture, number 1 Florida State and number 2 Virginia Tech are ready to clash at the Sugar Bowl. This game will decide the outright national champion and leave the winner to be the only undefeated team in the nation. Look for Heisman Trophy winner Ron Dayne as he tries to lead the Wisconsin Badgers to a Rose Bowl victory over the Stanford Cardinals, who are the surprising Pac-10 champions. Speaking of surprising, Notre Dame has been put on probation for 2 years. The Fighting Irish have been penalized by the NCAA after violating a regulation. The most storied team in college football has also been stripped of 2 scholarships. Moving from big penalties to big mouths, Charles Barkley has called it quits. Sir Charles, otherwise known as the Round Mound of Rebounds, had a season-ending injury last week and has officially retired after a great 14-year career. Well, that wraps up sports. Be sure to tune in for more NFL and College Bowl action. Back to you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Nate.
And on January 3rd, the world will officially say goodbye to the Charlie Brown clan. Charles Schulz, its creator, has announced his retirement and the end of the beloved comic strip. Will Charlie Brown finally outsmart Lucy and send that football sailing?
Will he win the love of the little red-haired girl? All of these questions and more will be answered on January 3rd.
And that concludes tonight's news broadcast.
Thanks for joining us.
And don't forget to tune in tomorrow night for 10 at 10 Live.